to make chicken broth. If you look in front of you, we have a pot. It's probably at least a 12-quart pot. It's kind of bigger the better, except it has to fit on the stove. That pot has cold water in it and an entire chicken. I prefer a whole chicken, but they ran out of the store, so I bought the whole cut chicken. Put everything in there except the neck and guts. They have too much blood in them and make it bitter. Now over here, now that's cold. Let's get that on high. Let's get that started. So once that starts heating up, as you can see, boom, we get that on there. Most important thing about broth, most important thing, take notes, never rapidly boil anything for broth, whether it's vegetable, beef, chicken, whatever. Never let it boil. Simmer only. Simmer only. Remind you, simmer only. Okay, here we go. The vegetables, celery, onion, and carrot. I will now prepare these items to go into the chicken. However, the chicken will want to go for about an hour on simmer and almost cooked before you add this stuff, which will have about 30 minutes in there to keep its fresh flavor. Celery, carrots, and onion together in French are called mirepoix. So now what we are going to do is mise en place. That is to put in place, get everything prepared. We're going to prepare the mirepoix, coarsely chopped, of course. It doesn't need to be real big, but small enough that it will lose its flavor within 30 minutes in that simmering water. This is the sachet de something or other. There are peppercorns, about a dozen. That's thyme on the left, those little leaves. I prefer them fresh, don't have them. And that's about a pinch of garlic powder in the bottom, preferably fresh, but I ran out of that too. It's been a bad day. And then there's a bay leaf. I would add one more thing, parsley stems, about 4 or 5 fresh parsley stems. Add a little bit of a bitterant that help balance out all the flavors in that lovely broth that you're about to see made. Okay, so here we go. That is on high, but we will watch it to a point where it'll get to a simmer, and then we'll turn it down to low to medium low. And that will go for an hour, 60 minutes once we get it on there. Okay, here we are back again. I may have made a little mistake in the first video. I set the hour right at the time that I turn it on. So even though it's still not boiling, my clock is now somewhere around 47 minutes and counting. That's why I went it in 60 minutes. That's when I put in the prepared mirepoix, as you can see, and the sachet de whatever you call it. But here's what I wanted you to see. You may be able to see the fat deposits, or the fat melting and coming to the top. Also, there's a little bit of scum that starts building around the edges, and as this gets hotter and hotter, you'll see more and more of that. That's actually the blood that's starting to coagulate and rises to the top. Here we have a colander, handheld colander, that is going to help us go in there and get that coagulated blood out of there, because that stuff can make it bitter and it can make it cloudy. Can you tell the difference? If you had one side by side, you probably could, but in the long run it wouldn't matter that much, but it will make a clearer broth, and a clean broth is a happy broth. Okay, there we go. We'll be back in a few minutes when I can show you how to skim off some of that coagulated blood. Okay, it's been approximately 30 minutes since I turned the stove on. And here we go. If you look closely, you should see a little bit of simmering going on in there. See those little bubbles? So it's just at a light simmer, but we're going to get that foam off. That's the coagulated blood. Get that into the thing. Let it drip a little bit. And just on a plate, I'll just drop it in there. You can get, this is actually not a skimmer. They actually make a skimmer, but I've just never bought one. This seems to do the job. This is hard to film and do this at the same time, so bear with me. And really, in the end, you're only going to do this about maybe 2 or most 3 times through the whole time, and then it's done and all the blood's coagulated and it's gone, and you got a clear broth and you don't have to really worry about it anymore. So I may not be filming this well because I'm trying to find the last little pieces in the corner and stuff. Okay. Here is the perfect simmer. A little bit of upwelling. You see it coming up. Oh, I just caught the floating of the wing. You see that? Nice little convective properties going on in there. As we pull back out, you see it push all the fat to the side. As you see, here comes more blood. Here it comes, more blood. We'll let it collect a little bit and then we'll go after it just a little bit. I probably won't show it though. So that's what it looks like. That means in about 26 minutes I will add the mirepoix and the sachet du spices, say whatever you call it. Breaking news, 10 minutes left in the boil and the thighs are floating. At that point it is starting to get done and I'm going to throw the vegetables in a little early. Oh, beautiful. The bowl of stuff. And then I'm going to get a spoon and stir it up just lightly. If I can find one. Just to get it wet. Crank up the heat just a little bit since it's cooled down. Bring it back to the simmer and go for 30 more minutes. Okay. It is done. Look at that. Boiling a little much right now. It's probably a little more than I'd like it to, but you know, hey, nobody's perfect. So, looking, just want to kind of check it to see if it meat falls off nicely, and it is falling off nicely. Sorry, not showing that to you very well. Oh, look at that. That looks good. Okay. So we have to cool this stuff down. Cool it down so we can pick the meat off of it. And then put the bones back in the broth to cook some more. Get some of the gelatins out of the center of the... Oh, that one's breaking apart just nicely. Yeah, I think there's one more. Gotta keep count of your chicken. Oh, that would be the breast. Sorry. I'm trying to do two things at once. It's not easy. Last leg. I think that's it. No. Not even close. Boy, that's a big old piece. Sorry, got a little foggy. So what we'll do is let this cool down, and then I like to pick it and I'll turn this off for now so it doesn't overcook too much. You don't want those vegetables to get too cooked. So I'm going to give those about half an hour. I'll stir them around a little bit, move them around gently some to kind of get some of the heat off, and then we'll start to pull the meat off of them. We'll do that later. Bye. Okay, here we go. Now for the fun part. As you can see, I have kind of spread the chicken out so it could cool off a little faster. And now what we're going to do is pick this stuff. We will take the meat off of it, put the meat in the Tupperware, take the bone, the skin and fat and yuck, throw it in that pan to get rid of it. Take the bones, use some shears, and cut them up into small pieces. Not too small, just kind of to open them up, really. Put them back in that water, and we'll start boiling it again for another half an hour. Okay, the hard part about picking chicken is really just how disgusting it is. So, let's go in here and grab a thigh. You take the skin off, comes off nicely, you throw it away. I have washed my hands thoroughly, by the way. Nice little piece of meat, throw it in the Tupperware. Piece of meat, throw it in the Tupperware. Same. You know it's cooked nicely when it's coming off easily, but not shredding. If it shreds, you cook too long. If you have to pull hard, it wasn't cooked long enough. So, better off cooking it too long than too short, to be honest with you. So now, That was kind of a chunky piece. Don't just get the meat in there. Don't get cartilage and bone in there. You don't want that stuff. So this is good for chicken salad and other items. So there's that bone. Okay, I have finished. Let's just pick this up some. Okay, I finished picking the chicken. There's all the chicken meat. There are the chicken bones. There are the chicken scraps. And in there I've already thrown the backbone and the 2 breastbones. These are simply leg bone, thigh bones, and wing bones. And I'm going to show you what I do with those. This really, I guess this really isn't for the weak at heart either, but you know, neither is making good food. So, I'm going to go into the drawer. I'm going to get my kitchen shears. These guys, they don't need to be sharp. You just cut them with pure force. And what I'm going to do is I'm literally just going to go in the middle of a bone and I'm going to carefully crack it in half and stick it in there. I'm going to do that to all of them. I'm going to get the heat back on high so I can quickly return it to a boil, a simmer really, not a boil but a simmer. I will continue to crack these bones. This really gets the marrow out of there and puts a lot of good gelatin. It'll give a lot of body to your broth, and you'll see that when you put it in the refrigerator. You cool it down and you take it out, and it's going to kind of have a jello effect to it. Not only does it make it look different and behave differently, but it also makes it taste better and can make nice thick soups and gravies. That's my dog trying to fight his way into the kitchen. So we'll do one last bone, one last bone, one last bone. Shear to the sink. All that into the water. You can already hear the water starting to get excited, start to boil. Okay, there we go. Just put the bones in really just about 3 or 4 minutes ago. See how water is still hot. It's picking it back up, already getting too fast, and we'll turn it down to, on my stove, it's really about 2. That's what I like. And now we're going to simmer those. Come over to the timer. Timer. 3000. Go. 30 minutes we have instant broth. From there we will cool that. How we will do that is we will go over to the kitchen sink. We will clean the sink. And what you'll see is a clean sink with a bunch of ice water in it. Okay, here we go. It is done. We've turned it off. Everything's finished. In the sink, I have the bowl we used earlier with the colander that is clean. I've cleaned this sink, and there's a stopper in there. I'm going to start putting ice water in there. But I'm going to pour it in there. This pot is hot. Eventually it's going to fill that, and I'm not going to put any more in there, I don't think. Okay, I finished straining the broth, and I've put it in an ice bath. I'll give it a couple stirs with a spoon. Got top of it right here. And what the stirring will do, it really helps to quickly cool it down. You'll be surprised this stuff will be refrigerator cold in a matter of 4 or 5 minutes if you continuously stirred it and moved around in the ice, but I can't do that and hold this. So here's the leftover stuff. We'll probably just throw that in the trash can. You can, since there's meat in it, you can't compost it. It's really kind of just destined for the landfill. So when this is cool, I will just carefully use my Pyrex measuring cup and put some in the, you can see I've already put a little bit in these because I had a little overfill. Put it in these things. Probably have to get a couple more, and then I like to freeze them and use them as needed. That's it, guys. That's how you make broth. That's all there is to it.